Hey everyone, hope you're having a good day so far. So today I wanted to make a video talking about this car right here. So this is my 2019 BMW 440i. I've owned it for a little under 3 years now, and I thought I'd make a video just talking about how it's treated me during my ownership period. So cars like this with the B58 engine have become very popular on social media, and over the recent years have become very accessible in terms of price for a lot of people. So I thought I'd just be able to talk a little bit about how the car is, how it drives, how it is to own, and maybe help you make a decision on whether a 440i, 340i, 240i, or even 540i would be a good purchase for you. So starting off with the exterior of the car, I think these cars look amazing. Obviously, the 2, 3, 4, and 5 series do look a little bit different visually, but they all share a very similar design language that I think has aged very well over the years. So compared to the 3 series, the 4 series is a bit lower and wider and does have that rear sloping roofline because of the coupe styling, but overall both of the cars are very attractive. And one thing I really do love about these cars is the customizability. So there's a lot of options for front lips, rear lip spoilers, rear diffusers, mirror caps, things like that. But as well, there's options for full panel swaps, such as aftermarket bumpers, hoods, fenders, things like that. As you can see with my car, I do have an M-style bumper, a front lip, a rear lip spoiler, a rear diffuser, and some aftermarket wheels, as well as these nice carbon fiber mirror caps. So that's a really great thing about these cars, is you can really customize it however you want. You can dress them up or down, you can go with a nice clean OEM Plus look, or you can go wild, make it look super sporty, aggressive, super aftermarket, really whatever you want. And really, I feel like there's just no bad angles on this car. I think it's attractive from any way you look at it. And in case you're wondering, the main reason I went with a 4 Series Gran Coupe, which is a coupe style sedan, over the standard 3 Series sedan is this right here. It has a liftback. So if you've ever owned a liftback or a hatchback before, you know how awesome it is to have all that cargo space available just by putting down the rear seats. Obviously, you can put the rear seats down in a 3 Series or a 4 Series coupe, but you will be limited by the frame of the trunk that would be right here, and that would really prohibit you from putting anything large into the cabin. Well, with this one right here, you can just pull off these privacy covers for the trunk, throw the back seats down, and you have pretty much the entire cabin for storage space. I've been able to store a bunch of sports equipment, furniture, pretty much any cargo that you would need to put inside of a car. You can really fit it in these Gran Coupes. Moving on to the interior of the car, it's really nothing to write home about. I'd say overall it is very attractive, but the lack of premium materials really makes it fall short compared to other entry-level luxury offerings of the time. So we do have a variety of materials though. We have this dark wood trim on the door handles, the centerpiece on the console right here, and the dashboard. We do have piano black on the HVAC and media controls, as well as this matte black next to the gear lever. And we do have this assorted gray plastic trim just throughout the interior. The seats themselves are pretty comfortable. The leather quality isn't the highest in the world, but it does have a lot of adjustability. So as you can see down here, we do have electronic controls for adjustability. So you can adjust the lean of the back, the lean of the seat portion right here. As well, we do have adjustability for the side bolsters right here. So if you want to be hugged a little bit tighter going through those turns, you can have that, as well as lumbar support. So if you're like me and like a little bit of support back here, you can really adjust it to your liking. As for interior storage space, we do have a decent amount. Each door has one of these door pockets that can fit a water bottle or other small things like sunglasses. We do have a decent amount of space inside the glove box, and as well we do have some center console storage for smaller things. So from the driver's perspective, we do have this nice leather steering wheel. I'd say it's a very nice thickness. It's not too thick where it's hard to grasp, but it doesn't also feel like a toy in your hand. The shift paddles, they're all right. I did replace the stock ones with G80 style paddles, but the actual paddle mechanism is still stock. You can see they're not too clicky, but they do give a decent amount of tactile feedback, so you do realize when you're activating the switch. So let's go ahead and turn the car on right here. So the iDrive screen itself is nice. It's a decent size, and it is actually touchscreen, or you can control it with this dial here. I prefer using the dial just to not get fingerprints on the screen, but it's up to you. The car does have Apple CarPlay and Bluetooth, so you are able to wirelessly play your music or put your navigation up on the screen. And if we go ahead and turn on the HVAC right here, we can see it does show temperatures for either side, so you can adjust accordingly to your passenger or your driving preference. And what's really cool about these media buttons is that you can actually make them whatever you want, so they don't actually have to be radio stations. So I don't have any of these assigned right here, but if we go ahead to 7, we can see that I did set it for the equalizer screen, and if we press 8, I set it for the sport displays. So it is nice to set these buttons to go to the exact screen you want, because sometimes it can get a little annoying to navigate the menus while you're driving. Moving to the back of the car, again, nothing really special. We do have some HVAC vents and control for the rear passengers, but overall there's nothing really much to look at in here. I am able to fit behind myself at around 5'10", but because of that rear sloping roofline, there is a little bit less headroom, so anyone 6 foot or taller may have to slouch a bit to fit comfortably in here. Alright, now that I have the camera on my head, we can talk a little bit how the car is to drive. So let's go ahead and start it up. So the car itself does sound pretty nice. I do have a little bit of exhaust modification, but we'll talk about that in just a second. So let's talk a little bit about the drive modes. So we do have this switch right here that changes the drive mode. If we go ahead and press it down, the car goes into Eco Pro mode. I've never used that before, so I can't really tell you much about it. I imagine it helps you save gas. If we go back, we can go into Comfort mode, which the car automatically starts in. I'd say this is a really good mode for getting around town. The car keeps the revs low, so you're saving gas, but does downshift when you press the pedal a little bit more, so you can get that power still. If we press it one more time, we'll go into Sport mode, which increases the weight of the steering as well as the throttle sensitivity. And if we press it twice to go into Sport Plus, now Sport Plus mode is pretty much the same as Sport, but it does put you into dynamic traction control. So dynamic traction control mode does allow a little bit of wheel slip. It's designed for low traction environments such as snow or gravel, but in this case it just gives you a little bit more performance by allowing the wheels to spin even if they may not have traction. As well, next to the switch for the drive modes, we do have a button for traction control. So pressing it once does put us into traction mode that I just talked about for those low traction situations, but if you press and hold it, it actually turns off traction control and stability control completely. So you can actually slide this car around, do donuts, stuff like that. But I wouldn't say it's the best, because these cars of this generation did not actually come with a limited slip differential. There is a dealership installable option called the M Performance LSD that you could have gotten, but they're fairly rare because they are actually pretty expensive. Right now they are around $2,500 for the part alone, not including labor, so not many people opted for it. And as well, if we go ahead and put the car in drive, we can actually move the lever to the left and put us in sport shifting. So when we put it into sport shifting, we can see that on the gauges, it shows in S1, 1 being the current gear. Now in sport shifting, the car will do its best to keep you in the power band. It will downshift earlier and upshift later, and it will just allow you to really utilize the entire performance this car provides. But if we go ahead and use the lever or the paddles to change gear, this actually puts us in manual mode. So while it will automatically downshift if you let the revs drop too low for the gear, you can just keep pinging it off the rev limiter as much as you want. I don't suggest doing that, but if you'd like to, you can. So let's go ahead and hit the road and we can talk a little bit about how it drives. Alright, so here we are behind the wheel of the 440i. I have it in my preferred driving mode right now, which is manual shifting and in Sport Plus mode. I've actually configured the Sport Plus mode to have the sport steering weight, but the comfort throttle sensitivity, because I don't really like how touchy the sport throttle is. And so far, the car is honestly a joy to drive. My car is actually modified, but during my first year of ownership, I did have the CPO warranty, And so during that time, I did keep the car mechanically stock because I was afraid to break something and void the warranty. So I do have a decent amount of experience driving this car in factory form. I think that kid's foot got stuck in his bike. Anyways, as I was saying, this car from factory makes around 320 horsepower with the M Performance power and sound kit. That would be upgraded to about 370 horsepower. This car did not come with that, so it just had that 320 horsepower. And honestly, even on 91 octane that we get here in California, the car felt very fast. Whenever I would stomp on the gas pedal, the torque would throw me back into my seat. The ZF8 transmission would shift very quickly to keep the power going. And overall, the car just felt faster than that rated 320 horsepower. Very nice M5 right there. So while the drivetrain performance of this car is very good, the suspension does not keep up, in all honesty. So this car did come with the M Sport suspension, so it is the non-adaptive suspension, but it is supposed to be a bit stiffer and a bit lower than the standard suspension. However, even with that, the car itself experienced a lot of body roll during more spirited driving. The ride height itself was decently high, and it had a lot of suspension travel. It was decently soft, and so on these, let's say, less than adequate San Diego roads with a lot of potholes and a lot of waviness, the car was able to handle that no problem. However, when I took the car on more spirited drives, that softness really affected the handling. And the main thing is the body roll on this car. Whenever you would take turns at any kind of higher speed, the car would really tilt to one side. It could end up affecting the balance of the car and end up lifting one of the wheels off of the ground. There were a couple times when I was really pushing the car in the canyons or the mountains, when there would be a switchback turn, when I would go from left to right or right to left very quickly. The car would not be able to keep up with the turn itself, and so the weight would shift from one side to the other, and the tires in the back would squeal a bit as they were losing traction. And I know it's not a tire issue because at that time I did have Continental Extreme Contact Sport 02s, so we should have been able to put the power down as long as the tires were touching the ground. So in its stock form, the car is honestly a really good, powerful daily driver, but not the sort of performance-oriented vehicle that I was looking for. So because of that, I decided to upgrade it a little bit. So to this car, I've added an intake, a high-flow downpipe, a high-pressure fuel pump from a Gen 2 B58, such as an M340i or a Supra, as well as a flex fuel sensor and E40 tune. For the suspension, I've switched to STXA coilovers, as well as Apex VS5 RS wheels, and Continental DWS 06 Plus tires at the moment. I really did like the performance of the Continental Sport 02s, but they just wore away way too quickly. So with this current setup, I should be pushing around 450 wheel horsepower. I have not dynoed my car, but that's what people made when they've dynoed similar setups. And with this setup, I think the car is perfectly suited for what I'm looking for. Oh my god, what the f is that? It's super fast on the street. It handles really well on the canyons and mountains. That body roll that plagued the stock suspension is all but gone, and I think it looks great. So we can go ahead and do a little acceleration test right here. So we're starting in second gear. With the upgraded power, you can run out of road very quickly. So on the freeway, that power is really good though, because I've never had any issues trying to get up to speed on the on-ramp or matching the speed of other lanes if I'm merging. I'm able to get up to speed just really easily with just a little tap of the throttle. So downshifting here and going into this turn. Car handles it perfectly, no body roll, tires are all on the ground, and we're able to power out of it very easily. So as far as daily drivers go, I think this is an awesome setup. The car handles very well, the power is very usable, like this. Gosh, that's fun. And sometimes I do scrape, but that just comes with being in a lowered vehicle. And there's a BMW behind me. So we have a bit more open road here. We can open up the throttle a little. That is fast. Upgrading these cars really wakes them up. In stock form, they're good daily drivers, but they become rockets when you add a little ethanol to them. And that's really the beauty of these cars, is the tuning potential is unlimited. People are pushing 1,000 horsepower out of built blocks, like 700-ish horsepower out of unbuilt blocks. And while the ZF8 transmission is kind of the weak point of this car, only being able to handle around 650 foot-pounds of torque, I feel like that's plenty of power, and where a lot of owners of these cars would probably stop anyways. And so because of the tunability and potential of these cars, a lot of people compare them to the F80 M3 and F82 M4, even though the actual competitors for these cars are the Mercedes C43 and the Audi S5. And so that comparison comes with the idea that you can buy one of these cars and upgrade them to be just as fast, if not faster, than an M3 or M4 for less money. And so for a lot of people, they think they should buy this instead of an M car. However, I'm not really sure that comparison holds. And the main reason for that is the M car is a much more complete package from factory. Stock, it makes somewhere around 450 horsepower, which is what this car is making upgraded. It has a better chassis and suspension, so the car is always going to handle better unless you spend a ton of money in one of these cars. And at the end of the day, this isn't an M car, it's not going to be that special, it's not going to ever appreciate in value or anything like that. Meanwhile, an M car, if you keep it in good condition and don't drive it too much, can be worth a good amount. So if you want to buy an M3 or M4, I think you should buy the M3 or M4. Because while these cars give a great deal in terms of performance per value, it's not going to be an M car, and it's going to leave that M-shaped hole in your heart. However, if you're just looking for a car that gives you great performance per dollar and can still be reliable and relatively cheap to upgrade, I think these cars are perfect for that. The 240i, 340i, 440i, they all have the same drivetrain, so it's just up to you what you're looking for in terms of form factor and body style. For me, if I had to go back 3 years ago and buy a car again, I'd probably still buy this over an M3 or an M4. And the main reason for that is I really prioritize value out of my cars. And while the M cars provide a lot in terms of performance, I think this, especially with upgrades, can give you a lot of value over those. Now, if you're planning on upgrading the M car, obviously, it's going to be much faster than this car, but you are going to spend more because the upgrade path for M cars are always more expensive. As well, I'm saving up to buy a house or maybe even a nicer car at some point, so I didn't really want to overspend on a car that I wasn't going to keep indefinitely. So I was just looking for the car that would fit all my performance needs for the lowest amount of money, and this is where I landed. But that's just me. Obviously, everyone has different priorities and values in life, so it's really going to be up to you on what is important for your car. Anyways, that's all I really have to say for this video. I hope it's been helpful for those of you considering 340i's and 440i's, and it helps you make a decision on what car you're going to purchase next. I hope you guys have a great rest of your day, and I hope to see you in the next video.